everyone, welcome back to FPL Chat Under. I'm Pom and I'm with me big mate here, Alex. How are you going, my friend?
I'm going well, mate. I am pretty stoked after that last week. I had a pretty good week, so it's jumped me up the rankings in a big way this week, so I can't complain.
You had big scores, didn't you? You went the captain Ronaldo route as well, and he didn't let you down, did he?
Such a vibe. You got to own Ronaldo. There's no option but to captain him, and he comes out and scores a brace. Can't complain. He's the man. It was inevitable. It was always going to happen.
It was a complete game as well, wasn't it? It really reminded everyone what the Premier League has been missing, didn't it? And it was a real return statement game, wasn't it, for him? He really dominated that game, and the vibes are good at Old Trafford, aren't they?
Oh, mate, he was unbelievable. Just like, I mean, United in that game, they had control most of the game. Besides that one little blip where they kicked the goal, but I mean, it was inevitable. He looked so good. He looked engaged. He looked happy. He looked like he showed his world class. He showed how good he is and how good he's been for such a long period of time. And those two goals symbolised why he's so good. So can't complain, mate. It's good vibes.
The consummate professional, isn't he? The consummate professional. And hopefully, for everyone who's got him in their team, he'll continue. I don't think he will stop anytime soon.
Fingers crossed. He's already kicked 3 goals, so he's rolling.
Well, we start this week, and there's some really intriguing fixtures. And you've got the honour of the home team. But the first game we've got is Newcastle United versus old enemy Leeds United. And who've you picked out for Newcastle?
I still think I think I've had Newcastle every week. What a way to go. So I'm going to go someone different again. And my pick is Almiron. I was obviously watching the United game, and Almiron, along with Saint Maximin, was the man causing United dramas going forward. He was just so energetic. He was getting back defensively and was, picked off a fair few players. When he was making his runs forward, he looked really damaging. He was finding Saint Maximin in a lot of space, a lot more times than not. And, Leeds have shown they're a bit frail down the back. They've conceded, I think, nearly the most goals in the Premier League, if not the most goals in the Premier League at the moment. And, someone like Almiron down that left or right flank, he can cause some serious trouble running at defenders and actually using his dribbling ability to get past them and whipping in some crosses for the likes of Maximin. And I'm expecting Callum Wilson potentially to be back this week as well. So I think that's a sneaky one to look at, given how good he looked last week against a team of United stature. He only scored the 2 points, but I think the 2 points in FPL didn't really signify how well he actually played. He was one of definitely the shining lights for Newcastle. So against the Leeds defense, who's been prone to conceding goals this season, I think he's definitely one to look at for some sort of a return this week.
He is definitely in everything, isn't he? I did notice he did stand out against United, didn't he? He was constantly a threat, constantly a menace. And like you say, if he can find Saint Maxim, and obviously when you've got Wilson there playing as well, he can find them two. Something can happen between them two, can't they? So definitely he's in everything, isn't he? He did surprise me, actually, because he's a player that you don't really look at on that Newcastle team sheet.
He's normally a player that I have seen floating around, and he's always looked okay. He's just never really produced it as much as I thought he would. But against United, like I said, even though he didn't really get the return, he was the one that played the major part in Newcastle kicking their goal. He had a brilliant move between 2 defenders. I think it was Shaw and Maguire or something, and then he found Saint Maximin, and then obviously Maximin found Manquillo, and he kicked the goal. But I credit that to Almiron for his brilliant play up the field that set that up. So definitely someone I'm keeping an eye on for this week if you're looking to go for a bit of a differential.
I like it as well. 5.4 as well. You don't get many bargains, but definitely he's got a high return potentially, hasn't he?
He does. And yeah, 5.4. It's a nice price bracket if you're looking to downgrade someone and looking to upgrade elsewhere.
If you're looking to get CR7 in, he could be the guy. Well, Leeds United, we know that they've got quite an easy fixture coming up, and a lot of Leeds players are in everyone's team. And I think it's no surprise who I've gone here. I've gone the big Bamford 7.9 forward. Only the 2 points last week. Leeds weren't exactly the most potent going forward. But I like Bamford. I really do. Just regardless of if they've got a good fixture or a poor fixture, even against Liverpool, he's in everything. And especially now he's playing that deeper role and really joining with the midfield. He's opening up that assist route as well. He did play a couple of nice layoffs to their wingers as well. So I like Bamford. I think he's the main man for this. Incidentally, was on the bench for my team last week. And because you killed Antonio, he's going to make his debut this week for me.
We'll talk about that later on. But yes, I did break Antonio. I'm sorry, everyone. But no, I did bring in Antonio with my wild card. I broke him and I immediately got rid of him. And I've got Bamford in. This is the start of Leeds' really good run of fixtures. There's a lot of greens in the difficulty rating for Leeds coming up, and Bamford is the man up front. He's looking quite good. He's getting into some really dangerous spots. I'm surprised he doesn't have a couple more goals than he actually already does. He's looking really, really good. And with the good fixtures coming up, if you're looking for a downgrade from Ings or, something or another option instead of Antonio, if you really want to get rid of him like I did, I think Bamford's the way to go given Leeds' fixtures coming up and how potent he is. And, we know Leeds, like I said, they're like a basketball team. They just play up, down the whole time. They're very, very attacking football team, and they're prone to conceding goals, but they're also prone to kicking a lot of goals as well. So I think with these good fixtures coming up, we could see a lot of goals from Leeds, and I think Bamford will be very much in it for the most part. So no, I like it. It's a very good pick.
I think 7.9 as well. It's just a bargain.
Yeah, and he's already gone down the 0.1 mil as well. He was 8 to start the season, 7.9. It could be a straight replacement from Antonio if you wanted to, like I said. So it's a great pick this week, and I think it's a great pick going forward for the next few weeks.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Postman Pat, as they call him, down them ends. Well, then we've got Wolves, Brentford. Now, this is an intriguing one. Who have you picked from Wolves? Because this is another team everyone's getting on board at the moment.
I mean, I spoke about it last week. Just like Leeds, this is the start of their good fixture run. And there's a lot of greens in there, and they showed it last week with a clean sheet and all that. And a man that was big time behind it was this man, Fernando Marcel. I think there's a statistic. I think he's the leader, if not one of the top 3 in the entire EPL in crosses and for the league. So there's threat there for assists, and he loves beaming forward. They play that 5 at the back, but Semedo and Marcel love getting forward and getting into dangerous positions. And he got the 2 assists last game week. He scored 13 points because of the clean sheet as well. I'm expecting Wolves to get a fair few clean sheets coming up. They're actually quite good defensively, and now that they've scored their couple of goals, I think we're going to see the floodgates open a little bit for them. They've been really, really impressive, and I think Marcel is going to keep his spot and keep it well. And he's a threat. He's 4.6 now. He was 4.5. He's obviously had the price rise. He's still a cheap defender. If you're looking for someone cheap, I think Wolves defenders are the way to go, and I like Marcel. So I think he's definitely one you got to get in. I've got Semedo. I think there's not much difference there. Just a little bit more expensive. But Marcel, if you're looking for a cheaper option, you go him this week.
Well, I think everyone's going Cody or Semedo, aren't they? And
yeah.
I think for 0.1 more than Cody with the assist threat, because Cody's not going to get an assist. He doesn't see the final third of the ground unless it's a set piece. I think it's good business, and I'd imagine as well it's a decent differential as well, because I think he's one of the players that most people will go with the Cody 4.5 or the Semedo because they know he's a brand name. So I love this pick. I think it's a grouse pick for 4.6.
Yeah, it is. He showed what he's all about, and I think the fear why people didn't pick Marcel is the fear of rotation with Ait-Nouri and guys like that. But I think he's well and truly cemented his spot at the moment, and I think it's a no-brainer. And if he keeps producing at this, and Wolves keep getting clean sheets and kicking goals like what they did on the weekend, his spot's going to be cemented, and we'll see that price rise going up in no time. So definitely one to watch.
I love that pick. I think it's a grouse pick. And like we say, Wolves, they've got a very easy fixture list as well. So real chance of that clean sheet, which really helps. Brentford, though, I thought this was tough because it's hard with Brentford because they're showing signs. And I went with the main man, this guy. Everyone's jumped off the horse of Ivan Toney, but there is no getting away. This guy's class. I watched him closely this weekend. He gets in all the right positions. It's a matter of time. But I think if you are looking at Brentford, I think you'd be foolish to go with anyone down the back. There's maybe an argument for the keeper with a save potential, but I think Toney is going to come good. I think class is permanent. And I also think so many people jumping off him. And FPL is that game when people get off. We all have that mate who delists someone and then you instantly bring them in your team because you know fortune's going to turn. I think Tony, his fortunes will turn. And I think he's due a green patch. I'm looking at the fixtures. The next 3 or 4 games, they love conceding a goal on the break. And I think Tony is your man for that.
We said it at the start of the season, we know how dangerous he can be up front. He's actually getting into some really, really good positions. I'm surprised he hasn't kicked more than the 1 goal at the moment. He's getting into some really good spots. He's getting ahead on everything. I watched the highlights of Brentford, and he almost scored a really nice little dinky goal from near halfway over the top of the keeper, only just barely missed. So he's definitely got some class there. He's got some potential, and Ivan Toney, he's the man up front for Brentford, along with Mbuemo as well, is another option you could consider. But Ivan Toney, everything seems to go through him, and it's only going to be a matter of time before he starts getting on a bit of a streak where he starts kicking a goal each game. And as we said at the start, he's on penalties, he's in everything. So if it's going to turn at some point, Brentford are showing signs that they're looking pretty decent. So no, I love that pick, and if he starts going on a bit of a stretch, I'll bring the great man back in.
I think he's one of them to watch as well, with just the price decrease as well. Like if that gets to around the 6 million mark, you have got a 15 goal a year player potentially.
That's a bargain if he gets to 6. Absolutely. If he gets to 6, he needs to be in your team. It's as simple as that.
Well, let's see. Let's hope his form changes. Then we go to 2 teams who are competing for relegation already at this stage of the season. Burnley, Arsenal. Who have you picked for Burnley?
For Burnley, as I said, they're sometimes a bit of a tricky team. They've got guys like McNeil, Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes and all that. But I've gone Johan Goodmanson this week. He had an assist on the weekend, but like I was talking about with Almiron, he seems to be a guy that's just always in the thick of it for Burnley. They're a tough team to pick because they play a real interesting style. They play a very OG traditional style of football where sometimes in FPL, it's kind of hard to pick which ones are going to be the main men all the time. But if you're looking for someone cheap at 5.5 in midfield, Goodmanson seems to be the one that is, like I said, in the thick of it. He takes set pieces. He's been taking the free kicks. He's looked really, really dangerous, as I said, provided that assist. So I think once Burnley start to get some really, really good fixtures, if Goodmanson can keep his spot, there's a nice little option there in the midfield at 5.5 that, like I said before, might free up you to spend elsewhere. So definitely a differential to keep an eye on if he keeps his spot.
I think his 5 points as well last week don't really do him justice for how well he played. I think if Barnes was a bit more clinical in front of goal as well, that could have been a lot higher. Like, he's a player as well that seems to be getting the ball into his forwards really, really well. It's just waiting for them to finish it off. So I love that pick because he's going to be a player, like you say, people will probably go the McNeil route, and he's going to be a huge differential. And if you pick the week right, it could be 10, 12 points that is a winner for you.
I remember, I think it might have been about 2 or 3 seasons ago, there was a stretch where Goodmanson got in double figures, I think for like 4 games in a row or something like that. He just seemed to kick a goal each week or have an assist or something like that. He was pulling them out left, right and center. So the guy's got talent. The guy's shown that he can get it done in real life and especially from an FPL standpoint. So like I said, when Burnley get some good fixtures, just keep an eye out for Goodmanson because he's someone who could rack up a lot of points if their big men start to be a bit more clinical in front of goal.
No, I love that pick. I think it's a great pick. And we've gone the same route with midfielders. Scarily the same price as well. Martin Odegaard, 3 points last week, but watching Arsenal very closely because I enjoy reveling in their misery. He does pull the strings for that side. And anyone who knows and watches Arteta, he comes from the Pep School philosophy. They love a playmaker, and he certainly is it. And everything positive for Arsenal goes through this man. And it's only a matter of time. Arsenal are too good a football club to continue being garbage. So I think he's the man that I would be looking at jumping on ASAP anyway.
Oh, they have some fantastic fixtures. They've already had a clean sheet now, and the fixtures continue to get better. As you said, he pulls the strings. I'm shocked. I was shocked when he came into the game that he actually was only 5.5. I was expecting him to be 6 or 6.5 or something like that because he's just so influential. And I think at the end of last season, he had 2 goals and 4 assists in his, I think it was 13 or 14 games or something like that. So the guy's shown that he's got an ability for an assist. He's got a little bit of an eye for a goal. Everything runs through him. At 5.5, while Arsenal's fixtures are amazing for a number of weeks to come, as I keep saying, if you're looking for a nice downgrade option, Odegaard is definitely one to go for, and you got to take advantage of those easy fixtures because they're not going to be easy forever. So if Arsenal can get on a bit of a run, he'll probably play a massive part in it. So I love it. I love Odegaard as a pick.
He's a phenomenal player, and I think he's as he builds into that team as well and gets used to it, I think he could go off. Like, I really do think he is someone that's just staring at the face with the easy fixtures they've got, because he's got assists written all over him.
Oh yeah, and I was genuinely surprised how easy Real Madrid let him go. Like, not even trying to persist with the guy. So I mean, it could be very much Real Madrid's loss and Arsenal's huge game. We'll wait and see how that goes. But I really do like Odegaard as a player. He looks very classy. He looks like a very solid sort of player. So yeah, keep an eye on him.
Keep an eye on him. And then we've got Liverpool versus Palace. And who have you picked out from the plethora of stars that Liverpool have at their disposal?
I normally try to stay away from the top premium picks, but I think it's just so hard to go past Trent Alexander-Arnold this week. He's a man on an absolute mission at the moment. He looks absolutely unbelievable. His assist for Salah last week was amazing. We know Liverpool are going to be very strong defensively now with Van Dijk and Robertson and Matip and all that back there. So it could potentially be clean sheets galore. And Alexander-Arnold's created the most chances in the Premier League at the moment. He's in an absolute golden patch at the moment, and you'd be insane to pick him. I'm insane not to pick him. Sorry, I'm one of those insane people that have not picked him, but that's because I've decided to go big elsewhere. But I think he should be in majority of teams, and he's just an unbelievable player. He's in a rich vein of form, and yeah, it's insane not to go without him for at least the next few weeks, anyways.
Well, he's basically a CDM that gives you the luxury of clean sheets, isn't he? I mean, he doesn't really play the left-back role, does he, traditionally? He's all over the ground. Watching him against Leeds this weekend, he's just everywhere, isn't he? And
he takes the set pieces as well. He takes the corners. He's crossing left, right, and center. He's taking shots as well. I mean, for 7.5, you basically got a midfielder that gets clean sheet points. It's unbelievable. So yeah, I think you got to pick him, and I can see it at some point in the season. I'm going to have to revert to going back to him because I just think he's really, really influential. But at the time being, can get away with it, but I don't know how much longer for.
I'm with you. He isn't in my team either, so that's a bit of bias just towards Liverpool. But I'll try and limit my Liverpudlians in the side. But no, definitely, like I say, he's a phenomenal footballer. And 7.5, I always view him as a midfielder when he's in my team. Don't view him as a defender. It takes the 7.5, bit more bite-sized piece, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's an unbelievable pick. So yeah, I can only see it getting better from here as well, which is scary.
And then Palace. I might surprise some people here. I'm stuck with my boy, Big MacArthur. Stuck with him. 3 points last week. A few nice through balls for him. I know you could probably make an argument for Edouard, but he's a Celtic player, so until about 5 years, he'll never be allowed to be nominated. But I really enjoy what MacArthur does. I think he really gets up and down the ground well. And I think, I know a lot of talk is about Gallagher last week. He was in sensational form. But MacArthur's the other guy that goes unnoticed in there. He does throw a lot of balls in. And incidentally, watching that game, he did have as many hot zone passes as Gallagher. Just difference is the front two finished them off. They didn't do it for MacArthur. So I like MacArthur, and he's a player that I think catches the eye for Palace. It might be a controversial call, but I do notice him playing. And I think them kind of guys with high energy, they're going to pay you well towards the end of the year.
He plays consistently in that team for a reason. He just does all the little things right. And you know, like you said, he's got that ability for a through ball, a nice long-range shot. You know, as you said, the hot zone pass is exactly the same as Gallagher. The only difference was the strikers finished. And that's honestly the difference between MacArthur not scoring the 12 or 15 points that Gallagher did as opposed to him getting it. So he's a very sneaky pick. I'm a big fan that you've stuck with it. I like that you're sticking to your guns. because I do like him. I think he's actually a very, very solid player. And at 4.5, there's a nice cheap option for you there. So big fan of it, Dan.
Yeah, he's one of them players that I'm just drawn to. Does the simple things well. He's kind of like the Audi Roy Keane. Does the basics very well. So always drawn to a player like that. But I think he's a good differential, 4.5. He's on my bench as well, just hoping to accrue some interest in the pointy end of the season.
Love it, mate. Love it.
And then we've got a really exciting game because there's lots of high scorers in this one. City versus Southampton. And you've got the luxury of picking City. Who have you gone with?
Well, I spoke before the season started about my fear of Man City players getting rotated, especially in the back line. And this was the main guy I was really worried about. He showed when he's played that he has this potential like he's done to start the season. It's just whether he could get consistent games. At the moment, he looks like he is getting consistent games, and it's really hard to not pick him. At 6 mil, Man City defender who beams forward, has got real goal threat, has got real assist potential as well. I mean, if I'm too much of a safety person to pick him because I'm still scared of the Pep roulette and the rotation. So I'm still not picking him. But if you have him, you ride with him as long as it's going at the moment because he's hot. Man City have got some awesome fixtures coming up again too. So there's always going to be a clean sheet potential there. And if he nails that left back spot or the right back, wherever he's playing these days, he's an awesome pick. He's shown that he's got points galore written all over him. So if he nails down a spot, you can't go past him.
We do love an overlapping fullback, and he is a pure overlapping fullback, isn't he? And like you say, he gets into them dangerous areas in the final third. He's kind of a budget Trent Alexander-Arnold, isn't he? That he does get in them very deep forward positions where he is part of that final third. And when you've got a defender, you always look for that because you know he's going to get this clean sheet points 9 times out of 10. If he pops up with an assist, it's 10, 12, 15 points, isn't it, weekly?
If only I just had a bit more certainty that he was going to play every week, he would be in my team. I love him. I think he's a fantastic footballer. He's very classy, whips in a good ball. He's always got attacking threat written all over him. And if Pep comes out one day and says Cancelo is playing week in and week out, I will literally substitute my team to get him in because he's unbelievable. I really do like Cancelo.
It's always the risk with the Man City players, isn't it? Just that Pep roulette. I'm with you. I still get dubious when I pick a City player and I'm looking at the fixtures and I'm like, which one of you is being dropped this week? Yeah. And it's always a worry. I feel you. I've got to say, though, Pep, in his credit so far this year, has kind of gone with the first 11 every week, hasn't he? So
yeah,
that says to me it's coming.
Yeah, he hasn't rotated as much this year, or at the moment anyway. So it's something to be happy about. But I just have a really weird feeling it's coming at some point, and all those Cancelo or even Kyle Walker owners, maybe even Laporte to an extent as well. When it comes, it's going to be disappointment City.
And it's a shame that they don't let us know before. It'd be nice if Pep could just email us his 11.
Imagine
weekly.
If it was like AFL where they had their teams out every Thursday and we just knew what was happening.
It's one of the risks you have to ride. A guy, though, that isn't a fear of rotation, who I've gone with, and I back him in a few times. Ward Pros, I love him. 3 points last week. I thought 3 points probably didn't do it justice. Because he is in everything. He's, again, a set-piece taker. Everything they do, James is part of. And I love this guy as well. And I think that watching him closely this season, he's getting in the right areas. It's a matter of time before it clicks. Probably suffering from probably not having a potent forward to get the ball to at the moment. But once that comes together, I think this guy is a sleeper at 6.5.
He's your traditional centre mid he's a box to box centre mid. He's pretty decent defensively, but he's just amazing going forward. His set piece ability is second to none. Whether it's a corner, whether it's a free kick, penalty, whatever he does, he's everything for Southampton, and he's one of those guys that when Southampton's fixtures start to see a lot of green coming up, Ward-Prowse is going to be the man to get, and that's just how it has to be. He's just unbelievable, and yeah, I don't even care that we seem to pick this guy every week for Southampton, because the way that he plays, he shows that there is no other option to not pick him, and he's in the thick of it. He's the man at Southampton, and yeah, once those fixtures are good, you got to pick the man.
Mate, I'm with you. I think I'm always been a big fan of him. I'm surprised he hasn't gone to a bigger club yet, but I think he has definitely got high scoring potential, like you say. Just them box to box in this game style always do score well. And once Southampton get it going, I think he's your main man.
Yeah, he's going to be dangerous when they do eventually get it going.
And two teams that do need to get it going. We've got Norwich, Watford. You're becoming an expert of Norwich. Who have you got?
I'm kind of sick of it to an extent. No, I'm joking. The one I try to be a guy that goes different picks every week. I hate sort of trying to pick the same guys every week, but if it happens that way, it happens. But one guy that does catch my eye for Norwich, and now Norwich have actually got some very good fixtures coming up, like Leeds, is Max Aarons at 4.5 as a defender. He's a right back who has just beamed forward with no hesitation. Doesn't matter if the fixtures have been terrible or not. He's such an attacking threat. I think he's actually more a midfielder than he is a defender. He's whipped in a fair few good crosses, and it's a shame that the likes of Pookie or Cantwell or whoever else has been playing up front haven't actually put a few more in the net, because he's been in some really, really dangerous spots. And now with the fixtures turning good for Norwich, there's clean sheet potential there. There's also attacking threat there as well. So if you're looking for a Norwich player to jump on that is quite cheap, I'd get Max Aarons, because he's looked like a pretty dangerous person and dangerous player. Sorry, and yeah, if Norwich start to string together a couple of clean sheets in a row, I might be getting on him, because I really do like Max Aarons.
I love Max Aarons. Those who play FIFA will know that he had a special card this year, and it was absolutely frightening. But he has got pace to burn. He is a real aggressive fullback, and it's the modern way, isn't it? I think for FPL, as the game's got more evolved, your fullbacks are a great scoring tool in here, because that clean sheet potential with the assist potential, he fits that category. You're talking double points. So the one negative is, we know he plays for Norwich, isn't it? So the clean sheets aren't going to be there, but their fixtures do turn. Like you say, there is a point where they've got a few greens, and at 4.5, potentially it could go down a bit as well at that stage. You might have a bargain for 2 or 3 weeks.
Exactly. And I still remember a time Manchester United were into this bloke. I still remember where they wanted him for a little stretches as their future right back, but before they got Wan-Bissaka in. So he's definitely got some potential. He's definitely got some real talent. And yeah, if as I said, if Norwich can string together a couple of clean sheets in a row, I think we'll find a lot of people jumping on Max Aarons, because he'll be in the thick of it.
He plays a great game style as well. If you're like me and you're riding home your team, it would be a good player to have, because he does play an exciting brand for the FPL armchair fan.
Absolutely.
And then Watford, I've stuck with my boy. Only 1 point last week, but Emmanuel Dennis is just getting in all the right positions, and I think it's a matter of time before Watford start to score. And they've got a great opportunity this weekend. At 5 million, this guy is your budget Antonio, because he has the ability to finish like Antonio. He's got pace. It's really dependent on when Watford string it together. And you look at West Ham, they're stringing it together at the moment. Last week, you broke Antonio, but usually that is what you can get for a more market value player. I think Emmanuel Dennis is the man at 5 million.
He is the man. He's playing up front. He's getting consistent 90 minutes. He hasn't probably had the returns since game week 1 that he would have hoped for. But I think a beautiful thing for us in FPL terms at the moment is he was up to 5.2. He's gone down to 5.1. And if he has another bad game, that could potentially drop to 5 mil, just what he started on. There's your enabler right there. If you're looking for an enabler in the forward line, if you want to play a 4-4-2, or, he could even play as your third striker in a 3-4-3 if you really wanted to go that way. I really like Dennis. He's got goal potential. Once he sees one go in the back of the net, I think it could start a real nice streak for him. So, if he has another average one this week, you're kind of hoping that he's going to go down again this week. And when he goes back down to 5 mil, you jump straight on him because I'm pretty sure the goals are coming.
I feel it. I feel he's a patchy goal scorer as well. You look at his Belgian league, he was patchy. So you're just waiting for that purple patch. When he's got the purple patch, jump on him.
Well, it's not very often you see a guy leading the line for a Champions League football team go to someone like a Watford. You know what I mean? You'd expect someone like that to go to at least like a Leicester or West Ham or something like that, a bit more of a bigger-ish sort of team. But while he's in a team like Watford, you stick with him because I can't see who else is actually going to overtake him as the number one man up forward. So, yeah, no, I like it.
He's got job security, and that's all you need.
Exactly.
And then we've got Villa versus Everton. Now, this is like two of the teams I think everyone looks at when they're picking their team. This is where your mid-prices are coming in. So Villa, a lot of Villa players I've seen in FPL teams. Who have you picked out this week?
I said before that I don't like picking the same players every week, but I've gone with Ollie Watkins again. He had his first real start against Chelsea, and I'll tell you what, he looked really, really good. I'm surprised he actually didn't kick a goal. He got into some really, really good spots. He was firing shots left, right, and center. He was getting his head on a few things as well. Because he's so young, he's just such an athletic forward. He's got pace to burn. He gets into some really good spots. And I think once Aston Villa can start getting some more goals on the board again and getting them in consistently, playing with Ings is actually, I think, going to help him up front as opposed to hinder him. He seemed a bit more free. He was able to float around the ground a little bit more and get a few more touches. And I think if Watkins can just get that first goal, he could go on a bit of a streak. And we saw it last season. He's got capability to score against the big teams. Aston Villa don't have the greatest fixtures in the world at the moment, and they're going to be tough for a little while longer. But if you do want to take the risk on Watkins, it's a pretty calculated risk because he showed last season he can score against big teams. So I really like Ollie Watkins, and I think for me personally, probably when the fixtures start to turn pretty decent again for Villa, he'll probably find his way in my team. I started with him, and the only reason I didn't start, I eventually moved him out and didn't start with him is because he was injured. So I really like Watkins.
He's definitely a player as well, because if you look at Villa, like you say, the fixtures aren't really favourable. So if you are going to punt on a Villa player, probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks, it's probably going to be a forward, because you know you're not going to be hampered by the clean sheets, anything like that. And you know that the only thing they're going to do is probably score. And one thing I've noticed about Villa this year, even if they're outclassed, they still create chances. So Watkins is definitely going to be your man. We know everyone's on the Ings train, but I'm with you. I think Watkins has got the game to play against a stronger side because he plays off the shoulder of the last man. And that is probably how they're going to score goals.
Yep. No, I'm a big fan of Ollie Watkins, especially when I saw him a lot more last season. He was good to own last season, and I think, once he starts getting rolling, he's going to be very good again to own this year.
I love it. I love that pick. And everyone was on the Damien Calvert-Lewin train last week, and obviously that annoyed people. This week, I've picked out Richarlison. I think he's another guy that keeps going under the radar for Everton. We know he had a phenomenal Olympics. I thought I'd see more people own him, but he's there, and I think he's the man. And I think we know that DCL, he's got a few injury issues. He may play this weekend, but I always think that's something I look out for when I'm picking my team. If there is an injury, is there a change in tactics? Is it going to go through? And I think this man might benefit from maybe taking a bit more of the workload.
I think from what I read recently, Calvert-Lewin could be out for actually a couple more weeks. So while Calvert-Lewin's out, Richarlison is probably going to be the man, along with our favourite Damari Gray. So I really like Richarlison. I seem to find myself picking him more times than not. And he's, again, like Watkins, he was going to be another player I was picking at the start of the season. And the only reason I didn't pick him is because there was that fear that he wasn't going to be ready in time for game week 1 because of the Olympics and all that sort of stuff. So I just haven't, unfortunately, found a way for him to get back into my team at the moment. But I feel like there's going to come a point in the season where I will wind up picking him. He's just a threat. He's so quick. He gets into some really good spots. He's got a great shot on him as well. And I really do like Richarlison. And for all those Richarlison owners, I would stick with him and I'd keep him. Don't go transferring him out because I think once that moment you do transfer him out, he's going to come and score a brace and have an assist along with it as well. He's got that sort of potential. So stick with him if you have him, because I think he's a very solid player.
No, I'm with you. He's one of them players as well that I think he's going to benefit. Like you say, DCL out, I reckon he's going to lead the line. I think he's one of them players, like you saw at the Olympics, when he is the main man, he seems to play better with that responsibility. So he's a guy that I'm looking out for moving forward.
Nah, big fan of Richarlison, so I really like that pick.
And then we've got, this is probably a tough one, Brighton versus Leicester. Who did you pick for Brighton?
For Brighton is a man who I just seem to always see is in the thick of a lot of things along with Pascal Gross. And just because he plays for Brighton and he's an attacking player, I never seem to pick, but I see him pop up all the time. And that's Leandro Trossard. He's a really, really solid player on that left wing or even the right wing if he gets moved there. As we saw, he kicked the winning goal against Brentford last week. But he just continues to get into some really dangerous spots. And Brighton have shown that, they're no slouches going forward. They're not the most trustworthy team going forward, but they're not slouches either. And Trossard, along with Gross, is in the thick of it more times than not. He's got a lot of talent. He plays in the Belgian national team, and I mean they are stacked with talent. So if you're good enough to play some pretty decent game time with the Belgian national team, you must be doing something good. And Trossard shows that week in and week out. And I think anytime they have a good fixture, if you're looking for a Brighton attacker along with the likes of Malpay, you got to pick Trossard, and he's only 6.4, so it's not like you're breaking the bank to get him in. So no, I definitely do like Trossard, and he's kicked his goal now. He seems to be a pretty streaky guy. We've seen that in the past from him. So if he gets another goal this week, he could be a nice little option to look at.
Oh, definitely. I think as well, like when people forget about Brighton as well, they are a side that do create chances in every game. And like you say, he is one of them players, him and Gross, that really do stand out and are invariably the guys providing that. So I like that pick. I think he's definitely as well a differential, isn't he? I don't think many people, I think everyone's on the Basuma train, Gross maybe. Duffy might come into it as well because of his threat in set pieces. He's another player that I think might just be that differential.
I think that there was a stretch last season I had him for a game or two, and he actually kicked a goal and got an assist for me, and I was pretty happy. And then he went a bit quiet again, so I got rid of him. But yeah, as I said, he's a streaky player, and once he gets on a little roll, he's shown that he's got an ability to keep it going. So I think definitely one I'm going to keep an eye out for this week.
No, I love it. I think he's a very good pick. I mean, this might surprise people here. You questioned it. We've got big Lukey Thomas. Now, people might ask why. Well, I mean, one of it is he had the most crosses on the ground last week, third most crosses at Leicester. He seems to be really overlapping. Rodgers is enjoying as well that style. And I think as well, you look, they've only got one difficult fixture in the next 6 weeks. And we've been talking about crossing assist type defenders. I think Thomas is an understated player, 4.5. And he's definitely going to be someone I'm looking at to bring in on the bench option and maybe rotating him through. I don't know, but he's going to be someone that I'm going to keep an eye on this week. They've got an easy-ish fixture. Depending on how he goes, he may be someone I'm looking at to let the good times roll.
I said it was a bit left field only because, well, one, I've never really heard of him, which, if I'm being honest, but two, it's just for me. Like I said, I'm a bit of a safe FPL player. I like to pick guys that I know are pretty nailed on, and if there's any sort of bit of risk there, I'm just a bit like, I want to get rid of you. Not a big fan of you. But if Thomas, if like you're saying, third most crosses for Leicester on the ground, and if he nails down a spot in the defense, you get clean sheet points. But also, if he's whipping in crosses to the likes of Vardy and Iheanacho when he comes on, and Barnes and Maddison and guys like that, one of them's surely going to go in. And once he gets that one, it could be returns galore. And as you said, with their fixtures turning nicely as well, they've got a few good ones coming up. If he nails down that spot, 4.5 for a Leicester defender could be a bargain. We were all on the Wesley Fofana train until he got injured. So this could be the substitute if he nails a spot. So a bit left field, but hey, if these are the ones that if they work out, you're on board early. So no, I like it.
It's ridiculously left field, I have to admit, but he has been a player that has been in my little black book. of having a look at, and he's impressed me in his games he's played so far. I think he's going to be one.
FPL is a game of left field picks sometimes, and it's about picking them at the right time. This could be the right time for Thomas, so we'll wait and see.
Well, we'll see how it goes. And then we've got our team, West Ham United play United. You've drawn the short straw. You've got West Ham. Who are we going with?
I was going to talk about the man that I broke. Again, FPL fans, if you're watching this, I'm sorry I broke Antonio. I didn't mean to. I've got him out now, so if you've still got him, it's probably a good idea to keep him because he likely won't get broken again.
I had him as captain as well an hour before the deadline, and I don't know why, but I just thought he's not going to back it up again. He's had 2 good weeks, and I went with Salah, and thank God I did.
James, one of my good friends, if you're watching this, sorry, mate. I know you captained him, and you got a nice -2 sitting on your name. My bad. I didn't mean it. But anyways, let's get off the Antonio. I'm sorry again for breaking him. The one I'm talking about is Nikola Vlasic. He's their signing that they picked up on deadline day, and I do like this guy. And he come on for Benrahma on the weekend, and he actually looked really, really good. I think Benrahma owners should be a little bit not worried just yet, but I think the worry might start to kick in, especially when Vlasic starts to play, because I feel like he's the guy that's going to overtake Benrahma and put Benrahma on the bench. He's shown an ability with Croatia when I'm playing for his old club before he come to West Ham, that he's got goals there, he's got assists there, and just like Benrahma, he's an attacking threat. And when you got guys like Antonio and Bowen and guys like that up forward that have shown an ability to finish, he could be really, really dangerous and a really nice pick. He's only the 6 mil, and West Ham still have, obviously this week it's not the most ideal fixture for them, but there's potential there too, because United have shown a couple of times that they've been a bit frail. But I think moving forward, especially when West Ham have some really good fixtures, if Vlasic nails down that spot, 6 mil, I think he's a great pick.
Oh, definitely. No, I can't agree more. And I think he showed a little bit at the weekend just gone, what he's about. Very direct footballer as well. And I agree. I think you look at that West Ham midfield, there's a few players there that people have got in, Benrahma being one of the main ones. They will be looking over the shoulder because this kid has got that 30-yard bomb as well. So he loves a long shot. I think it's a great shout as well, 6 million, because I guarantee you, end of the year, he'll be more than 6 million.
Oh, yeah. And I don't think they signed this guy to keep him off the bench and come in as a Benrahma replacement every game. Like, I genuinely think this guy, give it a month or so, if that, it could even be before that, he will be starting and consistently starting for West Ham. So definitely one to keep an eye out on, because he's got some serious talent, and you never know, he could very well nail the spot down against United this week. So we'll wait and see what happens. But no, I do like Vlasic and someone to keep an eye on as you move forward, because he could be a man pretty quickly.
No, I love it, and I can't agree more with you. I think you're spot on. As for United, I could have gone Ronaldo again, but I went the guy who made me the most excited this weekend. I took the risk. I brought Paul Pogba in.
How dare you not talk about Ronaldo? What sort of a Manchester United supporter are you?
Well, I thought he's got a lot of love, and I thought let's give Paul Pogba some love, because I thought he was exceptional at the weekend. I took the risk. I brought him in. I thought I got a bargain. He gave me the 9 points, and I think it'll continue. I think you watch Pogba, and I think I looked at how he linked up, particularly in the last 20 minutes when he again was deployed a bit further forward. I think he's going to take a little bit of teething with United, because you've got Ronaldo playing a bit deeper and then roaming forward. And it kind of, you could see Matic and Pogba didn't quite know how to work that out. Once it got going, though, he's always in that final third. And he's invariably the guy that's slotting the ball through. And he loves that dinky over the top ball as well, which found Ronaldo a few times. I think if Ronaldo goes off, it's Pogba who does it. So I'm banking on that. The Ronaldo-Pogba combo is going to keep me going for the next couple of weeks.
I think it genuinely will. He did play some really, really nice balls to Ronaldo, and it's a shame that Ronaldo just couldn't get a better touch on it that resulted in a goal. But yeah, no, he's already got, 6 assists already in the season. That's unbelievable already. He's already gone up from 7.5 to 7.8, and it looks like there's no slowing down. I think I think the one adjustment that Man United did make that actually really helps Pogba is they put Matic in. I think when Fred is in, United have a bit of a fear and they keep Pogba a bit more defensive and a bit more central to create to help the lack of what Fred brings. But I think with Matic in there, obviously he's a bit more of an experienced head. Centre defensive mid has been his position all along, and that's freed up Pogba to move forward. And we saw it on the weekend. He got another assist. He just looks like it doesn't going to stop anytime soon. And I think he actually scored. If I'm not mistaken, he scored against West Ham last season at the London Stadium. So he's got an eye for an assist, got an eye for a goal. He loves a long range bomb. He's getting in some good spots, and when he gets given the freedom, he's arguably the most dangerous midfielder in world football. I'd almost argue that. So no, I do love Pogba. I just for some reason didn't want to pick him. I probably still. I can't really pick him now, but if you've got him, you stick with him because he's showing the Paul Pogba that Man United signed earlier on. This is the Pogba that they signed, and we're seeing it in full spades. He looks really, really happy. There's been talks that he's going to extend his contract. So with those coming, it's showing that he's loving what he's about at the moment. He's getting given all the freedom he wants now, and we're seeing some positive scores as a result. So definitely love the Pogba pick, mate.
Yeah, well, he's his second highest score this year, 9 points. So 16 to go in game week 1 as well. So I think he's looking, like you say, he looks happy. And a happy Pogba, you saw it at Juventus, how good that is. When he's enjoying his football, he's having fun, it can be scores galore. And I'm banking on the Ronaldo-Pogba combination. I reckon when Ronaldo scores, you'll see Pogba come with him. So
I think it's a fair shout.
I've jumped off the Bruno train, and I've got Pogba instead, and I am enjoying it. It's a risk, but I'm enjoying it.
I think it's kind of funny. A lot of people did jump off the Bruno train to get Ronaldo in, but obviously Ronaldo kicked the 2 goals, but Bruno scored himself. So he's going to show as well that he'll be the forgotten man, but he's the forgotten superstar that we have. So it's nice to have. It's nice to see a plethora of options for United these days. It's been different from the last few years. So loving it.
I'm with you. I do think Bruno's still a solid pick, and I think if anything, his scores will get better with Ronaldo. It's just trying to cram as many 12 million players in as you can. But then we go to the final game. This is an exciting game. This Spurs-Chelsea. Now, Spurs had a shock last week. Who have you backed from Spurs to turn it round this week?
Yeah, they were pretty bang average against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace made life absolutely difficult for Tottenham defensively and moving forward as well. It was a very, we know what Nuno's about. He's very clinical and very methodical in the way he sets his teams up and the way he goes about it. And they just weren't on point against Palace. But and it doesn't get any easier this week against Chelsea. But I think if there's one man that has shown that can be a bit of a differential that actually can get some points on the board at 6.5 in the midfield, it's Dele Alli. He's playing consistent game time now, and when he gets consistent game time, I think with Heung-min Son coming back as well, I think that will free him up a little bit more to play a bit more centrally, get a few more touches, be a bit more of a playmaker, as well as getting in dangerously into the box as well. He's shown he can score a goal. He's shown he's got assists. Probably hasn't had the returns that we would have hoped for the time being, but as I said, it doesn't get much easier against Chelsea. But when you're looking for attacking options for Tottenham, everyone likes, Kane and Son, but Dele Alli's been in the thick of it a lot as well. So against a big team where you just never know what happens, Ali could definitely come out and provide a return. So if you're picking Dele Alli, you're not just picking him for this week, you're picking him for the future going forward. I think Tottenham get a few more good fixtures after this week as well. So 6.5 in the midfield. He seems pretty nailed on. He looks happy again. If he gets a return or two, it gets a couple in a row, I think everyone will be jumping on him pretty quickly.
No, I'm with you. And I think Nuno's got him playing football that he's enjoying. I did notice against Palace as well, even though they were bad, he is flying backwards to try and help out, get the ball. There was some great blocks, throwing his body on the line. So he's definitely invested. And I think that is so important when you're picking a midfielder. You want someone that's invested. Last year, Dele looked like he wanted to be somewhere else. This year, he looks like he's enjoying his football. And he is a $10 million midfielder in this game when he's on form. So if he can somehow recreate that early year form when he was one of the most touted footballers in the world, and I think Nuno's got it. I think Nuno can bring that out of him because there's no getting away from his talent.
Well, from what I have seen very early on from Tottenham, he's playing in his preferred number 10 position. So he's playing a bit more centrally. He's got that bit more of ability to be a bit more of a playmaker and get into the box into some dangerous positions as well. So, yeah, he, as you said, I think it was only a few years ago where he was 9.5, 10 mil in FPL. He showed how good he was. So he's got it in him. We know it's there. And once the streak of little returns starts to come, Ali's going to be an absolute bargain.
And when you're a midfielder and you're playing it into the feet of Son and Kane, you have to think about that midfielder for your FPL.
Absolutely. No, he's a great pick. Loving the dreadlocks as well. It's big fan of the cut.
No, I'm a big fan of Dele Alli. I like that pick as well. 6.5. You can't fall off as well. It's risk-free, really.
Yep.
Talking about other players that are risk-free, this one I'm really entertained by. Mason Mount, 7.4. So he's just come back into the side. We know he's had a few injuries, but this guy here creates more chances for Chelsea when he's playing than any other player on the park. And I think we know that Big Thomas loves Mason Mount. We know he's a big fan of him. And I think we know the talk about Kai Havertz. I think Mason Mount is the man for Chelsea. And he's a guy that I'm looking at closely. I watched him in the Champions League. He had some great moments. I think it's only a matter of time when Mason Mount fires, and I think he's one of the best players, in my opinion, in world football.
Well, he didn't play last game week, but I think they were resting him for the Champions League. But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to say 100%, but I feel a very high percentage that he is going to play against Tottenham this week. Tuchel trusts him again in the big games against the bigger clubs. So I'm expecting him to play this week. He takes the set pieces. He gets in dangerous positions. He loves a shot. Loves playing a through ball to the likes of Lukaku and guys like that. And, he's got a big name striker at his disposal now. He's got some decent wingers around him as well. Marcos Alonso has come out of nowhere and he's playing some really good football as well. So he's even got a left back that he can use as a nice option. And no, I really do like Mason Mount. He's gone down to 7.4 mil as well, which is really, really handy. And if that keeps dropping, it's inevitable. You need to own him. He's just such a good footballer. Chelsea are a class outfit this season. They're showing they're looking really, really solid down back and going forward as well. And I think Lukaku being there only helps Mason Mount even more. He has an even bigger target to look at. So I do like Mason Mount. He's in the thick of it, and it'll be assists galore and even goals galore once he starts going.
Oh, mate, I'm with you. And I think he is the man that I'm looking at. He is someone that I am actually genuinely thinking of bringing in. Give him a couple of games, see how he goes. But like we say, Chelsea, they don't have the toughest fixtures after this. They've got one next week, but then after that, it's the easiest fixtures for the next 3 weeks. So definitely someone that, with Lukaku, like you say, always got to think about them mids who have got superstar strikers, because Mason Mount is going to be able to lay it on a silver platter for Lukaku.
Well, I know a few people are waiting till game week 7 to unleash their wild card, and that's because of Chelsea when their fixtures. I think from game week 7 up until I think it's game week 14 or something like that, 7 weeks of near greens the whole time. So I think in that little stretch of fixtures, a lot of people will be jumping on Lukaku. A lot of people will be jumping on Mason Mount for that exact reason. So definitely one to watch.
Definitely someone that I'm keeping an eye on as well. And let's have a look how that affects our team. So take us through your team here, Alex. We know you've gone very bold. It went very well for you last week. Any changes this week?
The only change I made was because I broke Mikel Antonio. So I took the man out. I just don't think I'm meant to own him. The gods said that, yeah, Antonio is not for you, mate. So I bought in Postman Pat. And like I said earlier on, when we were speaking about Leeds and Bamford, Leeds have some really, really good fixtures coming up for the next 5 or 6 weeks. And Bamford and Rafinha could be the two guys that bring a lot of returns, well, I'm hoping anyways. I've gone a bit bigger up front with Ronaldo and Lukaku as well as Bamford. and I'm sticking with it. It worked really well last week with Ronaldo having the 2 goals, Lukaku with the 2 goals. I had a full slate of clean sheets from the goalkeeper all the way through to defenders as well. So, had a nice little week last week. And yeah, Bamford for Antonio has been the only change I've made. Whether that formation in the team stays the same, I'm not sure. There might be a change or two there. We'll see what happens, but that's what I'm going with at the moment. And big fan of it. Had a nice little week last week, hoping to build on it again this week.
No, I love it. I love it. I think it's a very strong side as well. But I think Bamford and Rafinha, that could be the key in the next couple of weeks. You've gone with the easier teams. See how that goes. Wolves and Leeds, they could really get you some big scores as well when you've got Lukaku and Ronaldo up forward.
Oh, well, we're hoping anyways. Let's hope the FPL gods are with us and provide those big points.
No, I love it. And this is what I've gone with. Very similar. You can see my only change this week was because Eric Dyer died. That let me down last week. That was probably my difference between, I scored 68 last week. I think the difference between a great score and that was Eric Dyer. Ironically, I did have a few points on the bench as well. But I've gone the same. I'm going with the flat back 5. Laporte this morning is evidently a doubt, which I'm hoping is just a trick of it, because otherwise I might bring MacArthur in, but I'm happy with that team. The only change I made was Cody in for Dyer. I've got 0.6 in the bank at the moment. And I'll be looking ahead because Grealish and Salah may be the 2 I'm looking at taking a risk on in the next couple of weeks when Chelsea's games suddenly flip. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. I may be doing a Alex and bringing in Lukaku. Or I may be bringing in a Mason Mount.
I just thought I'd get on the Lukaku train early because if I'll be able to likely handle a couple of bad fixtures from Chelsea, but I wanted to make sure I had him for when those fixtures turn good. So I think with Liverpool, they've still got about another 5 weeks or so of some really good fixtures, bar one. Man City, they're always going to be a threat. It's just honestly with City, it's the rotation factor. Grealish has seemed to play in every game so far, so no doubt there could potentially be a rest in there somewhere. I don't think it'll be this week, but it'll be in there somewhere. So something to keep an eye on. But that's a nice looking team. There's some real potential down back as well for a lot of clean sheets. And if you can get 6 points for every one of those defenders, you're laughing. Plus the returns of the likes of Ronaldo and Bamford and Salah as well, even Pogba. You got a nice team there, Dan. I'm a big fan of it. And if they can get a lot, like I said, if you can get clean sheet points there galore with the 5 of them down back, you're laughing.
That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping that Laporte plays as well with his sneaky set plays. But I suppose we will find out this time next week. But thank you very much for joining us, everyone. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.